Hey, what's up, JQ?
What's up, Lefty? Is this on? It's been a long time.
Yes, that's on. That's on. So I got your book, right? Thank you for sending it out to me. It's a lot thicker. I opened this, so we're recording a day after I recorded this podcast. It's actually a leap year. So we're actually recording February 29th. We'll talk about that in a bit. But very great. I did briefly breeze through this book. And I say briefly, it was like 10 seconds on the.
Well, why don't you show people for 10 seconds what's there?
Well, I mean, I went to look for one specific thing, and that was to see where my dedication page was or paragraph. And once again, I still have not made that part of the book. And,
no, I'm wondering. This book is all about driving and setup and all the stuff you have no idea about. So you're not included. If I do a book about media or podcasts, then I'll mention it.
I thought you might say, thank you to my good friend Lefty the Great for all his hard work and helping me promote Invisible Speed and arranging tours and all this type of stuff and doing cool reels at these tours for Invisible Speed.
Well, you know what they say about me. I don't show appreciation, so let's keep that going. By the way, you should put the new book there where you're promoting the book.
Well, I have to. I'll see if it stands up. It's kind of heavy. It's kind of shiny. Why red?
And now turn it so it doesn't. It's not shining.
It's kind of hard, JQ. Why red? Why red?
Mao Graphics wanted red, and it's fine. Red is racing.
I think
like S-Works and Kyosho and Ferrari.
Yeah, like my red hoodie that I wore in your pit. Anyway, enough jibber jabber. Let's get cracking. Let's get on. We haven't had you on her for quite some time. Let's have a chat.
Nitro is the glory, but e-buggy pays the bills. Welcome to the No Name RC podcast. Get ready for some serious bench racing. But be warned, we speak our minds, express our thoughts, and sometimes things can get a little rowdy.
Hate, and he just was influenced by the hate coming from the left, the hate coming from the right.
And let's get back to more club racing and less of this grabbing races.
It's hard not to be arrogant when you're always right.
Yeah. See what I mean? That's exactly why people call you arrogant, Max.
You may not agree with everything we say, but it's definitely worth a listen.
And our pick, can you stop whatever you're doing?
Join your host, Lefty the Great, with co-hosts and guests as they get together to chat RC.
Hey, after that race that I watched this morning, I have to talk about it.
Go. $100 right here, $100 throw. Oh no! I like this.
Yes, indeed. Nitro's the glory, but e-buggy pays the bills. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode number
278
of the No Name RC podcast. I'm your host, Keenan White, aka Lefty the Great. And over to our virtual left. I don't know if you're a vice host anymore because Max is now a vice host. You are now special guest.
Let me fix it. How do I do that?
Yeah. So you are no longer a vice host. You've lost that privilege. So just to let you
know. How do I edit it?
While you figure that out, mute yourself and I'll do my thank yous. But thank you, everybody. Joining us this week is the man, the myth, the legend in his own brain, Rupert Pumpernickels, aka JQ, aka Beaker, Joseph Quagrain. This podcast is all about catching up with him. We've kind of haven't chatted for a while, so it's good to see what he's been up to. So thank you, JQ, for joining us. Also, a big thank you to everybody out there in RC world for all the support. We dropped episode 274 last week with Mason Fuller, and I decided to record this and give you guys a little treat. Whenever you're getting this, I'm not sure when we're getting this, so we get it sometime next week. Now JQ's going completely dark. I couldn't even see him there. All right. A big thank you to all the NNRC squad around the world. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you for all the support. Also, a big shout out to all of our NNRC patrons and our YouTube members. We greatly appreciate your support. You guys go the extra mile supporting us financially. We greatly appreciate it. Every little bit helps. If you wish to become a patron and get such perks as early release, Patreon early pods, and Patreon giveaways, look in the written description of this podcast and help us out. We greatly appreciate it. You guys will be getting an early release of this actual podcast. So that's awesome. Big shout out to all these companies that support the podcast. Remember, everybody showing these podcasts some love showing these sponsors some love and companies some love shows the podcast some love. We have links in the written description for every one of these companies. We have some affiliate links where we got a little slice. We have some coupon codes where you can save money, and some we don't have anything. You just got to let them know that you heard about them. And the NNRC. They are Invisible Speed. As you can see, books are now shipping. High Tech RC, Corsatec USA, Sidewinder Fuel, Mayako, Beach RC, Techno RC, Clinic RC, Stacked RC, RaceCraft USA, RC Box Club, Call RC, Elite RC Productions, Florida RC Championships, the RC Body Armor, SJ Racing Builds, House of RC, RCGP. Shout out to our drivers, David Ronnefalk, Robert Battier, Alexander HagBerg, Matty G, Echo Ivanen, Una Hotnen, and now newly inducted and knighted into the NNRC service, the Iceman, the Ice Knight, Mason Fuller. All right, thank you for all of that. We greatly appreciate it. Remember, go to the written description of this podcast, and you can help us out by doing some of that. Help us out. Become a member. Become a YouTube member. Become a patron. Buy something from one of the sponsors. You can also do something that costs you absolutely nothing. Hit that sub notification like button on our YouTubes. Go over to our TikTok as well. Hit that follow button there. Instagram, and hit us up on Facebook if you haven't already. We're all trying to break some milestones in there. I think it's 10K on Facebook, 10K on TikTok, 10K on Instagram, 20 on TikTok, and 5K in YouTube. So help us reach these milestones in our social media career. All right, I can see JQ is very eager to talk to us, so let's bring him in. Hello.
Yeah.
Vice host. Okay. But then again, now we have people that come on more than you. So you might have to add another vice. No,
Who?
because now numerically, Cade has been on more than you this year.
Who's Cade?
Roach RC.
Oh, Roach RC has been on here now.
He's been on her twice in a month.
Twice.
Yeah,
I've been on here like 200 times.
No, we have not. But
yeah, how many podcasts have you done now?
I've done 275. But
okay,
not
so
all of these are all podcasts. Yeah, 150.
Yeah, so I'm still definitely vice host.
Okay, defending your role. What's up, JQ? So I guess I want to start off. I invited you on here to have a little chat. You've been kind of off for a month, doing the south of Europe thing down there, doing motocross, and I don't know, doing RC, like not RC gypsy stuff, but MX gypsy stuff. So I guess tell us a little bit about what you've been doing for the last month.
Yes. So there's a lot that's been going on. When was the last time I was on here?
You wasn't on her Christmas. By the way, you have to go look and check and see who won our Christmas book or course. Because,
okay, so Christmas time.
Yes.
Okay, so the new book is finished. That's been a big project. It's out now, also being sold by dealers, Lutz RC, AMA, and Beach RC in America, for example.
How's that going?
Model Tune is selling it. Savoia. Renault Mr. Balls, or no balls at the moment, but wishes he had balls. Savoia is also selling it. And what a segue to the French translation, which is going to be done within March. Pre-orders are open for that too. And then there's a Spanish one too. But
thank goodness, because I'm getting tired of people asking for Spanish and French versions.
Yeah, it definitely looks like the French version will be out now before the Spanish version. And the Frenchies, they're all up. They're all interested in this technical stuff. So I think we're going to have to do a proper batch of French books here.
Yeah, too bad they
definitely
aren't
looking like
interested in giving us a good live feed from one of the best races of the year. But that's
I know, but
something
that's
we'll
going
talk
to be.
about later
Is
on.
that going to be our rant or one of our
It
rants?
can be one of our rants.
Yeah, we can do that. So anyway, the book has been taking up a bunch of time, but that's kind of done now.
Mm-hmm.
Then what
So,
else?
question: success of the book. How has it been so far?
It has been
1 month.
good. I was a bit skeptical because the first book sold well, and I was wondering, would the same people now buy the second one too? And it seems like they do, because it's there's enough new material that it's worth buying. But the thing that I was worried about was that people wouldn't believe that or perceive that to be the case. But seemingly they do. And a lot of the first people who bought the new book have the original too. So that's really good.
That's good news.
And
that's
the feedback has been good so far. So people are happy with the book. And then, yeah, so we have, with Mayako, we have a new MX824 released, and also an e-buggy. And no one made the manuals for that. So I have had to figure out how to make manual images and all of that. And oh my God.
I thought Ma was supposed to be doing the manual.
Oh my God, that was horrible. No, but you have to do from the CAD images. You know, you have to make the assembly and then figure out how to do the each manual step. So I've been doing that. Then I've also figured out some other things. You know, I now officially have a superpower.
Yes,
I've been diagnosed with a superpower, so that's been taking up some of my time too. So basically, it's this superpower where I'm quite good with things. Like I can figure out things, and I can create things out of nothing, and I can see the end result before it exists.
Definitely create things out of nothing.
That is something that I have a knack for. But then the downside is that I'm kind of socially retarded. Or I would say maybe retarded is a bit strong. I would say maybe socially different.
Socially awkward? Not strong enough?
Yeah, awkward or different. So, I mean, we have known this for a while, but now it's official.
Okay.
I officially have that.
So can we just say like what it is so people
It's called autism spectrum disorder superpower.
Right. You know, I don't want people to think like you got dropped in
That's
your head
what it's
or
called.
You know, something like that.
That's what it's called. So formerly Asperger's or high functioning autism. Now that that's taken care of, the whole idea of that was so I could get an instruction manual for my brain. So now
Excellent
that I
news.
have that, I can work on figuring out the instructions for my brain.
Well, that's good. We've been
Yeah,
I've been telling you that for quite some time. So that's always good.
Do you want to hear some of the symptoms? Let's just see if you think that any of these could apply to me. Okay. Could this apply to me in any scenario? Okay. Inflection that does not reflect feelings when talking.
Yes.
Could that be me?
It is you.
Exhibiting strong special interests.
That's why you have how many guitars now?
Yeah, or maybe an invisible speed book. Difficulty regulating emotion.
Yeah.
Like some
on certain
outbursts.
things. On certain things, you're okay.
Some arguments online, for example.
Yeah, I've never seen you outburst in person, like argue with somebody in person.
Seen them online.
Yeah, but that's yeah.
There's a few for you to figure out. But I would say that basically, to keep it real simple, what it means is anything social seems to be a bit harder to deal with, because I would describe it like this. You know, when you're driving down the road, then you've been driving for a while, and then you just start thinking about other stuff because your brain's gone into sort of autopilot, right? You don't have to think about the driving. You're doing other stuff. Well, apparently that's how people function in the world also. They don't, when they are in a social setting, they're on autopilot. Well, my autopilot in those situations is broken. I don't have it. So it takes a lot more effort in those situations. That's maybe a good way to describe how it is.
You gotta
Does that make sense?
engage your autopilot.
Yeah, but I think I don't have one for those situations. That's why it's tiring.
Because I'm seeing you be very good with people. That's the thing.
Yeah, but I think that's also one reason why alcohol works as a social lubricant.
Yes.
Because it's sort of, at that point, it switches off. Let's say it switches on autopilot or off whatever part of the brain is like not getting it, you know, and then you just don't care. And it's smooth sailing from there.
Okay, that's good.
You know,
that's good. So
yeah. So all of that's been going on.
Okay.
What?
So I guess my next question is, how does one deal with that type of stuff? What do they have you doing to deal with it?
I mean, I think it's just good to know. And then how I figured it out was just by first asking, like, the friends around me, when we would have the same experience, I would ask them, hey, what did you think right now? Before that happened, when it happened, what did you feel? Like figuring out how other people think in different scenarios. Like if you walk into a room and there's a bunch of people there, how do you greet them? Do you ever think about that? Like, is that something that you consciously have to think about, like what you are about to do? You know, and most
sometimes if it's a lot of people and they're like, how am I going to greet all these people?
Like that.
Okay, I mean, but that's
yeah,
normal.
but then like
people have anxiety about
the details that. And you start, when you start figuring things out, you realize that, oh well, you think about things quite a bit differently than others. And then I guess when you understand the differences, you can just sort of learn to adapt or be okay with
manage them. You know? Okay, I got you. Yeah. So it's about management.
Manage it better. Mm-hmm. I think that when the problem is, you see, you only live in your own mind. You don't live anyone else's life. You don't know how other people experience the world. You only have your own experience. So then I think that my whole life has been a lot of being misunderstood, misunderstanding other people, and also myself misunderstanding myself, which sounds ridiculous, but that's kind of how it is, because I haven't understood or known what I am feeling and why, which should be obvious to people, but I haven't really, because I've never really thought about it, you know? But now thinking about these things, they start making sense. Like it was literally a few years ago when I understood what anxiety was, like we spoke about, I think, before. Like that, as an adult, you learn that, oh, that's a thing. Oh, that's not normal to feel to this extent in these situations. Oh, so we should figure out ways to where you don't feel that as much. Okay, so that's more of, I think, the benefits of understanding yourself and knowing how to live your life and how to sort of take care of yourself in a way where you, in the long term, will physically and mentally feel better.
Okay. I understand. Yeah. I understand. Well, I wish you all the best in that. I'm glad that you have recognized it, looking to get it, manage it, not fix it. I would say it's going to be a constant management thing, because you've been doing it for 40 years now. You got to do it for the rest of your life. So I wish you all the best with that. Because a lot of people, mental health is something we as men don't feel like we can talk about. Nowadays it's a little easier, but like my generation, we don't talk about that stuff. You just get on with it, right? But I can understand it, and I understand how you feel and whatnot. So I wish you all the best with that, man. So that kind of also led to this trip that you just came from, because you kind of needed a break, which is totally understandable, like a breakaway from everything. So you hopped in your van with a couple other Finnish friends and made a road trip down to the south of Europe. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's winter in Finland, so obviously not much to do outdoors. So we drove down to Spain, and it was the first time I brought my dirt bike with me. And the idea was just to ride a lot of motocross and also go testing with Robert before Montpellier, then attend Montpellier. And then Robert had his first son. So he's a father now. And I basically went back to motocross for a couple of weeks and then drove home. So I brought my RC stuff, but didn't drive a single day. So the days I went to the track with Robert, I was just helping him. We went testing and also attended a regional race at his home track. He TQ'd and won that. And then we went to Montpellier in France.
Okay.
So that was all the RC I did during the trip. And then otherwise it was just motocross.
Well, we're going to talk about Montpellier after this, but tell us a little bit about the motocross stuff. So how many guys did you go down on this? How many guys was it that went on this trip?
So one of my friends here who keeps his bike here next to my office, he trains this he turned 17 during the trip. So 17-year-old Finnish rider. So the idea was to go down there for 3 weeks with him to just train, basically. So that's what they were doing, and I just tagged along. And the tracks in Spain are really good. It's almost like RC. You can compare. It's very similar. Like our tracks in Finland for RC are so-so. They're okay, but not really that good. And then when you go to Spain, you have all these tracks built by Miguelo, for example. You know, the buggy land tracks, they're all fancy. You've seen videos and pictures, so they look really nice. The jumps are nice. The surface is nice. And they have many of them. Well, it's the same for motocross. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, you said you was doing it, and also said it was relatively cheap still compared to Finland. Living on it. So you guys are doing Airbnbs and stuff like that.
Yeah,
run me through a typical day of you.
Cheaper.
Like
what?
Run me through like what a typical day was.
Well, we had a good schedule really because where we stayed for most of the time was about, let's say, on average 45 minutes from the tracks, and they would open normally at 9 between 9 and 10, and then they would close quite early at 2. So we'd get up and leave about 8 or 8:30, go to the track, ride until 2, and then drive back, wash the bikes, and go back to the house. And basically, after 3 days of riding, you're so tired that you need a day off. And then after that, repeat the same thing.
How much did they charge you to use the track?
It's expensive, actually, like 35 euros, except for one track, which was 40 euros.
Each time you want to use it?
Yeah, a day.
Oh, wow, that's not cheap at all.
No. So we went, there are so many tracks that we went to a different track each day throughout the week.
Okay, that makes it better.
Yeah, except
is
one
really
of the
that
weeks
many
we
tracks?
Yeah. All within sort of, let's say, 1 hour's drive. So
really?
Slightly different direction, and you just go to a different track. One of the weeks we went down to a track called Red Sand, which is, they've had an MXGP there before, and they have, I think, 4 or 5 different tracks on the facility. And it's this famous facility where riders from the rest of Europe, where the weather is worse, would go and train. And also the MXGP riders go there for training. So we were there for a week. So then we would only ride in that same area. But like I said, they had multiple tracks to choose from.
Did you meet any famous MX riders?
Yeah, there were a few. I didn't really meet them, but I met, do you remember the tall Lithuanian Jasikonis?
That used to drive for you?
Yeah, so he had a bad injury a few years back when he landed on his head. Had a brain injury, and he was in a coma for a while. Then he came back to riding for a bit, but he was never the same and couldn't really sort of compete at the highest level. So then now he quit. And by chance, he was there with his dad, and they had a training camp. So I met him.
Oh, they were teaching people.
Yeah. So
okay.
They have this.
So he has a legitimate life in motocross then. He's a coach.
Yep. Him and his dad have some motocross school. So they were there with a bunch of kids.
Now, were these tracks packed? Like lots of people there?
Yeah, a lot. There was, I would say, every day that we went to a track, they had somewhere between 50 and 100 riders.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Wow, motocross is really popular in Spain.
Yeah. That Red Sand place had more, I would say. But when we went to just a place with one track, then yeah. Because even when we signed up, like one day towards the end when we arrived a bit late, maybe like 1 hour after they opened, I think I was number 50 on the sign-up sheet. So
how does that work? Like, how long do you have to go out there and run with so many people on the track, I guess, or so many people there?
It was never to the point where it felt like there were too many people. Like it never felt like it was rush hour out there. So it was good.
Did you learn new stuff? Did you learn something? Like, did you accomplish something that you wanted to accomplish while you was on there?
Well, my goal is to race, do my first official race. See, I'm 40 years old now, and in Finland they have a veteran class that starts at 40. Okay. So I could do that. So what I want to do is just learn to ride sort of at a steady pace, do all the jumps, and be safe out there, basically. That's what I want to achieve. And for this trip, I just set personal goals. Like I would do some laps and then I'd figure, you know what, I need to do this jump today. So then that was always my goal, to try to push myself to do something that I wasn't quite comfortable doing. So there was a whole bunch of those that happened.
Did you take any hard hits?
No, actually. I fell a lot, but mostly just sort of silly, small crashes, trying to do corners faster, something like that.
So how about that kid? Is he fast?
Yeah, but he's running a 125 still.
I saw that.
Like yeah, I told him like it's like a rice cooker. He needs something a bit more powerful. Like he has the skills. Right. And he's really tall also, and he's old enough, so he really needs a 250 four-stroke.
What else did you buy any new guitar stuff while you was in Spain? You always seem to get something to do with guitars. Nothing.
But I did have my guitar with me, so I did play some guitar. But mostly it was just, riding,
relaxing,
cleaning the bike,
drinking a lot of beer,
changing air filters, changing oil.
How often did you change your oil on your bike?
I don't know. Like they probably say 5 hours, but the way I ride, it can go longer than that.
Yeah, you're not in the clutch like those guys.
Yeah, I'm not up in that. I'm not full wood everywhere. Exactly.
How long did it take you to drive back home?
It takes 3 days.
Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. Sweet. All right. Well, that was cool. I think you needed that. You seem a lot more relaxed, a lot more composed. And I know you're not on social media, but I was able to follow some of your stuff through WhatsApp, like in statuses where you post pictures. So I was like, oh, that's good pictures. You're happy. Pictures of food, pictures of sunsets and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it was the first time I've been, I believe for sure it was the first time I've been that long somewhere without RC. The focus on work or RC.
Yeah. That's when people's like, hey man, you could come you could come here and do this RC race. I'm like, man, if I want to go on vacation one day, like I want to take my wife and kids and go on a vacation there. I haven't had one in 7 years, I think. Mind you, I live in a vacation spot. But yeah, man, sounds good. In between that, you went to linked up with Robert up in Barcelona. Robert was probably a very worried man with his girlfriend or wife, fiance, very much pregnant with their baby Nils. Congratulations, he was born a couple of weeks ago. But you did get out to a track with him. That track was absolutely beautiful, man. That track, I said, get me some video of it. Get me some video. What does he do? No, does not get me no video of it.
I was fitting for Robert.
You could have just went up to the driver's stand and got video.
Yeah. No.
See, but yeah, I can't get a mention in the Invisible Speed book, but I take all the video.
Montjuic, Barcelona. That was the track.
That's a beautiful track. Lots of levels. Big.
Yeah, it's nice.
What was you working on with Robert there?
Just preparing for Montpellier.
Okay. So anyway, we might as well fast forward to Montpellier. How far of a drive is that from Barcelona?
Can't remember. Maybe it was 5 hours or something. 4 or 5 hours.
Because it's down south, right? Montpellier is down south more.
Yeah. No, it's like north from Barcelona, but the very south of France.
It's on the coast, right? The Mediterranean coast.
Yeah, close to it.
Okay. All right. So Max and I did a full review on this race. Obviously, you was there. You get to this race. You've been to this race quite a few times. I'm sure it was cold. First big race of Europe, I would say, for 2024. I mean, even the Killix were there, and they usually don't go to this race. This race was packed. Packed.
Yeah.
Well,
it wasn't that
what
cold,
was it
actually.
like? Okay, it wasn't too bad. Raining. It did rain.
It rained on one day. The weekend before had been super good weather. Obviously, for the race, it got bad. But it was still okay. The one day, they knew it was going to rain, so they just changed the schedule, and it didn't really affect the race then that much.
Was you excited to be back on the track, a race?
Well, no, actually. To be absolutely honest, I wouldn't have even wanted to go. But
okay.
I was hoping that Robert would have the baby, and then I wouldn't need to go. But we had to go. So we went. And it was nice. It was good because everyone was there except Coelho, I think. Who else? He might have been the only one missing.
Yeah, that was of significance, I would say.
Yeah, I think all the other Europeans were there. And of course, I didn't race, but that could have been a factor in the 40 plus. Anyway,
could have.
Yeah. What do you want to know?
First big race in Europe, big, huge, lots of people there, more top people than usual. What was the vibe like? Looked like they made a lot of changes to the track as well. Lots of people on new equipment. Obviously, we had 3 technos there. I remember we had people on different tires, all this type of stuff. We had the Ogo tires being a big surprise for everybody. Like nobody would have thought that. Lots going on at this first big European race. The America already had their big race, was kind of SIC. So this is the first big kickoff race of Europe, right? So it's a lot going on. JC3 on his new tires as well. Yeah. So lots at stake.
I think that I'm probably a bit too jaded of RC in a sense. But I can tell that because everyone was there, and in France, they know how to organize the races pretty well, like everything, sort of the pits and the track and the driver stand and, all this stuff, like everything sort of works. It's not a complete mess. Then when you have a race like that, where everything, at least looking at it, sort of makes sense and it's organized, it gives the race automatically a bit more sort of importance, prestige, right? So being there, I can sense, like, if this was 15 years ago, I would have been really excited, Other than that, I think 2 problems. One, tires are becoming too important for 8-scale now. And it's because the way that tracks have developed. So back in the day, the tracks were loamier, they would get rougher, they would break up, and there'd be dust on the surface. It would be less of this sort of on road with jumps like we have now. I mean, let's face it, that's what even this was. So perfectly smooth, concrete-like surface that gets a groove on it.
It had blocks. It had bricks. It had a concrete surface.
Yeah, it did.
It had a concrete corner.
Yes.
Yeah.
But most of it.
But this is how this race is every year. It's
treated dirt.
What do they treat it with?
What? I don't know. But what ends up happening is that with the level of drivers also improving, so that the drivers are better, more highly skilled, and more close in times, and they make less mistakes, and they are more consistent, then the tires become too significant. Okay. And we could see that with some drivers, for example, Ronnefalk, who we can maybe talk about separately, who is no longer running Matrix, who started with Matrix and was doing donuts and was down in 20-something place or 30th or whatever. And that literally, I'm not kidding, in the first practice, he looked like a beginner. Berton, I think, early on was super fast on the OGO, or I don't know how you're supposed to say it, OGO, whatever tires.
OGO?
Yeah, and then at some point, David put them on, and he was immediately on the pace. And also, at this race, hot race drivers actually were struggling a bit. So,
which is unusual.
Yes, so it seemed like they were at a disadvantage. And I say so because I could watch drivers like, for example, Boots, who I think he's won this race before, and he's been fast recently on these kind of tracks. It's similar to the track in Gussago, which is his home track, actually. He was also he was fast, but a bit off the pace. And looking at him, how he was driving, how the car was working, I swear if there was controlled tires and everyone was on the same tire, he would have been in it for fighting for the win. That's how it looked to me, watching. And then just looking at like where the hot race drivers were, who they were, how they were doing, I got this sense like they were struggling a bit with traction. And Robert was also sort of searching and trying to figure out what compound and tire to run, and saying that his car feels loose and all these things. So, and then some random tire happens to just work really well. And didn't Skidmore also switch to that? What was Skidmore running?
Skidmore went on OGOs, and Ronnefalk went out on Proline slide locks in the rain.
In the rain, but I mean, Skidmore also ran the OGOs, right, for qualifying and that. Yeah, and he was really fast too. So, yeah, tires, in my opinion, are becoming a bit too important. I think for the bigger races that people travel internationally to, it would definitely make sense to have a controlled tire. So we have it in every other class. I think it's time to introduce it in 8-scale nitro also, because I can't imagine going to this race, flying in, and having to figure out what tire to bring.
So Hot Race found a random tire that worked in the end, is what you're saying?
I think they just ran maybe Clay Sahara.
Right. So they were just, what were they missing? Just what type of compound were they missing, or tread pattern that they were missing? That, because they've done well at this race before too.
I think it was just a compound issue. Okay. So the surface, the humidity, the rain at some point, the temperature, like it all matters. And then if your tire just happens to not work, then you're screwed.
All right. You thought. Go ahead.
Yeah. Segue onto another thing. There's one human on this planet who seems to somehow overcome these things, and it's just it blows my mind a bit. So Ongaro, okay,
that's what I was going to talk about.
Yeah, because
you just
now I don't
like
remember
all
anymore.
Weekend.
What?
No, every time I ask you, it's like, who you think's going to win? He was like, how things are going to look out there. Ongara's going to beat all these guys. That's all you kept saying.
Yeah. So the thing was that I don't have the results. It's a long time ago now, but I seem to recall he kind of struggled a bit at first. Then in qualifying, he was like close. But it seemed like
he wasn't blowing doors off.
Yeah, maybe in results it seemed like, oh, maybe he's struggling a bit. But I don't know. I could feel like when the long main comes around, then he's going to be right there. Because he was kind of making mistakes and he was looking a bit out of shape. But he was also looking like he was sort of not pushing as much as the others. Okay, which I think maybe was because he was struggling. Like maybe he didn't have the traction, the feeling, like the confidence that something wasn't as good as it should be. Yet he was there. So I just felt like once the track settles, they do the semifinals, they go in the main, then he's going to be there, and then he's just going to run away with it. Now, that didn't happen, but it didn't happen because he made a mistake early on. He was slower in the beginning, definitely, and then sort of slower later on. Let's put it that way. So in the beginning, he was kind of trying to stay up there and keep drivers behind him and whatever, and then he made a mistake. Then he got hit, dropped all the way to the back. So he was last. Then he drove through the pack. At one point, got in the lead, made 3 or 4 mistakes of his own for some reason, dropped far back again, still in third, and then drove back up really close to first place. Like they all
I was very close at the end.
A couple of seconds
very
or
close.
something. So
yeah,
that was, I know that Betton was impressive and he was really fast in practice qualifying, and he won the race, which is impressive. But like being there, watching the race, still somehow Ongara was more impressive, because I was standing right there. I was watching what was happening. Okay. Betton had a bit of a battle with Canas at some point, and first it looked like Canas was gonna win, and then Betton got the lead. It looked like, okay, he's got this. But Ongara I counted him out twice. He was so far behind. Like there was no way he was going to catch these guys, right? But he caught them once, got in the lead, dropped far back, then count him out again. Like, well, now it's done for sure. And then sure enough, he catches up again. So that was really impressive to me. So all
right.
Like,
we agree with you.
What?
I don't know what it is, man. Max and I agree, because Max and I were watching this, and it's like, Ongara's up to such and such position. It's 15 minutes left to go. I'm like, yeah, like he's like in 8th. Oh, 10 minutes to go. He's in 4th. I'm like, what? Yeah. Maybe Barton slowed down a little bit near the end as well. Or maybe
right in the end, I think he played it safe a bit. But, yeah.
All right.
But the thing that I don't understand is, I would say that this was a race where things didn't go his way. Okay. So I don't think he was completely happy with his tires or car or setup or whatever, right? He was not like super happy with everything. There were some issues, right? Also, he made more mistakes than I've ever seen, but they all did, actually. All 3 guys in the top made more mistakes than I have seen the top guys make at a race in years. Okay. And still, it was like incredible to watch somehow. Like, he didn't win, but his pace and how he drove through the pack, it's like he was on a different level somehow. So it's crazy to watch in person. And didn't he post some ridiculous best lap too?
Yeah, I think he posted like hot lap. Crazy.
Yeah.
Unlike Buggyland, where he just was so fast at the end of Buggyland.
Yeah.
I was shocked to see Barton win. JC3, what did you think of him on the new J Concepts tires? Oh, probably that helped him out a lot.
Yeah, I think for now he'll be okay. The true test will be when we reach the sort of summer temperatures. So Euros in the summer, for example, when they have the Spanish nationals, hot weather, polished tracks, then I'll be curious to see how he'll do, because back when other drivers, including Ronnefalk, for example, a few years ago when he ran J Concepts, that's kind of when they struggled. When it was hot weather, the track temperature was hot, when you needed to run harder compounds, long way compounds, that's when J Concepts wasn't as competitive. But that's a few years ago also. So I don't know what new compounds
things
they
can
have.
change.
Yeah, of course. So that will be interesting to see. But even back then, J Concepts was always good in damp conditions, colder conditions. So for this race doesn't really tell the whole story, I think.
Okay. Barton's win, not expecting him to win, but he was the fastest, pretty much the fastest guy all weekend. Good win for him. What does that tell you more about him, or what the package is running? What do you think it was more?
I think
What's your opinion?
I think that he was really impressive. He was very fast. The car, I think, I'm a bit disappointed, if I'm honest, because it's Infinity. Okay, so Infinity is this owned and backed by this really wealthy guy. So Infinity has a really big budget, but the car is something from the early 2000s, a mix of a chrono front end ball type pivot ball. But then when you just look at it, it looks a lot like a Hong No almost, like it reminds me of a Hong No, like that kind of era. So 2007-ish or something. Like that's kind of what the feeling I get when I look at it. So I'm a bit disappointed because, I mean, just to give it some examples, like M4 screws, a lot of M4 screws everywhere. D block is attached by 2 M4 screws from below the chassis, right at the back of the chassis. So, I mean, if you are on some tracks in America, those screw heads are going to be gone in one day. Like those kind of decisions, like I just don't understand. So there's a lot of that. So the car itself, not very impressed. Berton, impressed,
Okay. Do you throw him in that mix now with these top drivers? Like he can go anywhere and win now?
In the past, he's had sort of flashes. In the past with Infinity, right? He's had flashes where he was really fast and then he struggled. I think that was kind of developing the car, learning the car, having all kinds of issues. Now the car that he has is production version. And I think he has been putting in a lot of time testing, just running at the track. And I spoke to him and he said he just wants to race as much as possible now because hasn't been racing that much. So he has the production car that's stable, remaining the same. He seems to be happy with it. Seems to have a good base setup. Now he's going to be racing a lot. I suspect that he's going to be one of those guys who's, always going to be there with Canas.
Maybe at DNC too. Maybe at DNC. What's your thoughts on Canas? Did you get a chance to talk to Canas?
Canas, not really. But I think the switch to J Concepts was a bit of a risk. It was, I think, purely motivated by money, not by, the product or anything like that. It's just, this is how he makes his living. He could make money by racing J Concepts, and that's what he chose to do. I think it's a bit of a risk, but so far so good,
Okay.
But like
I'm
I
just
said,
going through going through the list. Burak looked pretty good. Is Burak now like full-time RC? I think his apprenticeship is up. He might be dived in full-time into RC. So. Okay, because I know it was 2-3 years.
I don't think so.
Okay. A solid 4 for him.
Burak drove really well, actually.
Mm-hmm.
He was, I think, also sort of struggling a bit with tires. Like they were just loose.
And his seismic used to be good here too.
Yeah, well, he was the best seismic, so it's hard to say. You know, were the tires really holding him back, or was that just the best he could do? The tires just being an excuse? I don't know. But looking at him drive, it's like he's so aggressive, but like precisely aggressive. You know, I think improved from years past, you know, where he was maybe far too aggressive. Now the aggression is still there, but it's sort of more controlled, and he sort of adapts his driving a bit more to the conditions. So the track, the car, the tires. Okay, this is the limit of what my package and what I have. I'm going to drive within this, you know, instead of just flying off the track and doing crazy shit when everything isn't working just like he wants it. He sort of reels it in and just does the best he can. And I guess this was the best he could do now, this time.
Okay. Elliott Boots finished 5th. A very quiet 5th, like we talked about. Top French guy, Theo Lemaire, I think he was driving a HB. Remy Bermudez right behind him. Ronnefalk, we're going to come back to. Valente making it final. I think Johnny Skidmore was better than 10th. Huh?
Yeah, my friend Valente. Yeah, Skidmore was up there. He was, I can't remember where he was.
He was in 5th.
Yeah, 5th.
He flamed out.
5th place, I guess. So top 5 for him would have been no problem, but flame out.
What do you think about Skidmore? I think he's legit. I think he's doing pretty good.
Well, yeah.
He well over in the UK.
His dad bought the Invisible Speed book at the race. So I
saw that.
I expect big things here in the next races.
Okay. A little surprised to see Thomas Musso in her with that Corrali.
Yeah, but isn't the Corrali the same as something else? I didn't look.
Max and I geeked out on that. But good run for him.
What was it?
Mattia Polito, I think he should be better than 12th. Barufalo would definitely want better than 13th. And Ronnefalk, who TQ's the last round, I think it was, because they didn't have round 5, they had round 4. He wouldn't be too happy with that finish either, which was a 8th. And then I'm sure Robert's not happy not making it final. Daniel Parente, Adrian Parente. Zankatine finishes 19th. Okay. Renaud Savoya, 21st. Majube, 15th. This is also a very French favorite track, I will say.
Yeah.
So lots of French people do well here.
Well, Majube should have been in the main. He crashed towards the end of the semifinal, had a bad one. I think he was in a bump spot. He should have been in there. That was a shame.
And one semi was way slower, right?
Yeah, there was a big difference. But I think it was because the track just changed, not because, you know, driver level or such.
Right. I caught the LCQ with Robert in it, and when he tried to bump up. I like that they have 2 LCQs. Before we get into Ronnefalk, thoughts on the techno changes, Yao Figueiredo and the Parente brothers?
Well, I think both of those, all 3 of those changes were because of the deal. So not because they were leaving an inferior car to a better one. I would say they were both purely because of the level of deal that they could get, which, in my opinion, is always a bad move. And I think that especially Pariente was on a sort of steep upward trajectory with his results. And with S-Works was working really good for him. So this was a tough change to a very different car. I don't think that same direction of improvement will continue. For Joao, I think he will pretty much end up doing the same as with the Kyosho. This race, I don't know. I don't know how he's done in the past, but I would think that he will pretty much keep doing the same as what he did with the Kyosho.
All right. I guess we might as well address the elephant in the room. That is Ronnefalk. I guess this is going to be a little bit ranty too on your sort. When I saw him, I'm gonna have to open
a beer.
When I saw him TQ that Ron, I'm like, all right, he's gonna do good here. You know, he's gonna do good. And then in the main, he Ongaro made that crash, and then he crashed into Ongaro like behind that tree, and I think he got back going after that, but he was never able to get back up to the front like Ongaro. First time out for David on his new ride, the X-Ray. We haven't chatted. We suspected that he was not going to be running Matrix tires, and obviously a couple of weeks before this, he isn't. Maybe a month before this, he isn't. I remember you messaging me saying, "I am coming on the podcast to tell the whole truth." You never did. You dropped a good video about him, which was great, saying thank you to him and Adrian.
Yeah.
Still, I didn't even get a frame.
Sorry, you didn't fit in the frame. So anyway, let's deal with the race first.
Okay.
The race these days, 2024, you cannot rely on talent alone anymore. Not possible. You have to be very lucky if that's going to get you a good result. So David came to this race unprepared. He had driven the car, I think, once before. And to be honest, I was really impressed in practice because towards the last rounds, he was very fast. Maybe even fastest in some round. I can't remember. Qualifying, I was equally impressed. But some people that I spoke to there, they were like, oh, shit, maybe David is, in for the win or he'll do well. And I was like, there's no way. Like, he's not going to do well. Because the thing is that you can't go to a race of that level and expect to drive 60 minutes against guys like Ongaro, Canas, Berton, all these guys, right? Boots. You can't just assume that you're going to be there and beat them, right?
Maybe 2 years ago.
Without putting in the preparation that it takes. Those days are over.
Yeah, I would agree there.
Yeah, so that's sort of, I think in a way, like that race proved it because he had the pace. Right? He was able to turn the laps. He was able to tick you around. But then when the main came around, he was nowhere because that's when you need to get all your shit together for the main. You know? That's when you need to know exactly what changes you need to make if you make changes. And also that's when your driving has to be on point and you can't make mistakes. And so that's the reason for that. The car is capable. He ran apparently the best tire. And maybe that's what we need to talk about next, the tire thing.
Okay. Segue into that.
So what do you have to say first?
I would agree with you there in a sense that 2 years ago when he joined Mayako, I mean, he literally went to DNT 5 weeks prior to get track time, right? And practice and do all that type of stuff. And it obviously paid off. He didn't get a nitro buggy win, but he got an e-buggy win, and he was fast in all his classes. Fast forward, 2023 was a very bad year for him. He didn't he didn't fall off the face of the earth, but he just did not match up to his 2022. I think confidence is shaken a little bit. I think stretched out amongst a bunch of classes now, too. Whereas before he could have just ran ONROAD because he felt like it. Now he's going to be obligated to run it. at certain events. Penske as well. And yeah, I'm not like he should have. I know he went to like, didn't he go to France to test with Adrian prior to that? On like an AstroTurf type of track.
Oh, wait,
yeah, no, prior to he did go somewhere prior to Montpellier to test. But I think it's needed more than 3. It needed more than 5. You know, it needed new chassis altogether.
Yeah, not much testing done anyway.
I mean, I know he can't do it up there in Sweden, but
I think he's doing it now for DNC. I think he's going in good time and getting track time in. So
yeah, which he has to do. These guys, these young guys are fast, dude. They're not making mistakes. Like they're doing things with these cars that and now David's becoming. He's a veteran, right? He's a veteran, but still, he's not like old veteran. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But
he's a veteran.
People are doing stuff with cars now that
not old yet.
Yeah. But people are doing things with cars now that he was never even thought of when he started coming up. You know what I mean? Yeah. And people are doing things with cars in 2024 that they weren't doing in 2022 when he was super fast. You know? And these young guys like the Killix were starting to put these things together, right? Canassa's putting things together. Hungaro's clicking. You look over in America, guys like Brandon Rose and Mason Fuller, these guys are starting to click and get it. So when these guys start clicking and start being able to put this stuff together, these veteran racers like Ronnefalk and Mayfield and these guys, they have to work harder, right? They have to work harder.
Yeah, but I was asking about the tires. So he wasn't running Matrix. It was a big move. He went to Matrix.
So we talked about this quite a lot prior to him going to X-Ray. I mean, it's no secret that X-Ray has always been chassis first when you're on that team. We've seen, Martin Beyer 2014, was he not running for Proline or running for AK and then had to drop them to run, drop a sponsor to go run what the chassis company says. I did interview Ty. He said that X-Ray did not make them change the tires, but they asked. But pressure to do well. You know what I mean? Also on that. X-Ray has a history of tire, like their drivers doing what they say, like you fall into line.
Yeah.
And I felt when he left to go to X-Ray, that's for instance, probably if he would have had a 2023 like he had a 2022, he probably would have got away with being able to, you know what I mean, throw a little bit more weight on because he had a very good, year to back it up. But when you come off a year that isn't that great and you come into the negotiations, even though you're still good, you're still capable, all that type of stuff, you do come on the back foot. And you kind of do what X-Ray says. I mean, look at guys like HagBerg and Coelho. They have spent their Bayer as well. This young kid, Max Gotts, what they got coming up. These X-Ray guys stay with X-Ray. Like, they pretty much do. And they're long, like HagBerg has been there so long, Coelho's been there long. And the other thing that you have to fight is that Coelho's still always going to be number one there. Till he's not, I think. So I remember when somebody messaged me to go, "Hey Lefty, have you seen Ronnefalk's sponsor call out?" I was like, "No." It's like, "There's no Matrix." And I was like, "Oh." And then I think I sent it to Max, and Max made a post about it. And yeah, I think it was inevitable, right? I think when I saw that, I was just like, why the fuck couldn't he do this at Mayako, right? Why couldn't he? When I saw this, what came to my brain? And I love Ronnefalk. It was my boy. DNC 2023 sitting there cutting fucking pins off Matrix tires, trying to make them work in the D-main. And I was just like, this is when you should have said, this is when you should have put on a tire and bumped up to the A final, right? But no, that's where my brain went. I'm just like, you know what? JQ was right. JQ was right. About the whole situation.
Yeah. So this was like vindication. Is that a fucking word?
Vindication is
Maybe
the
it's-
word you would use.
Maybe it's good that I didn't come on back right when this happened, because I would have
Yeah.
probably dropped a nuclear bomb. But I think I put that energy into a much more productive use and made that sort of thank you video instead. Because like that's honestly how I feel. Okay. But this whole tire issue, that's a personal thing too, because that's really the catalyst for everything that went wrong.
Mhm.
Okay. And what it really boils down to, like, if we are honest about it, then it boils down to greed. That's just what it is. Okay. You have to call a spade a spade. 2022 was a really good year. Okay. It was the first full year of the contract. When we negotiated the contract, David got the exact salary he asked for, which was a big one. Okay. And one of the reasons for that was that he didn't have a tire sponsor, so he wasn't getting paid by a tire brand. And my memory is horrible on many things, but some things stick in my mind, okay? And some things stick in my mind because they are important to me for some reason. And one of those things was when we were negotiating the contract, because when he signed with Matrix, things started to go south. Why? Because that scenario was not handled in our contract. What if he signs with a tire brand? What happens? Is that okay? Does Mayako allow him to sign with a tire brand, or does it affect his salary? Like what happens in that case? It wasn't in the contract, because when we negotiated this deal, David said he won't sign with a tire brand. It is not going to happen. So it's a non-issue. Okay. So when we spoke about this, because we did, he said there's no way he's signing for a tire brand. He wants to win. He wants to use the best tires. And that was it. And we never sort of put that in the contract. Well, let's just imagine you do. How do we deal with it? Okay. But the understanding was at that point, because he doesn't have a tire sponsor, he gets the big salary that he wanted. Okay. Fast forward 1 year, he signs with a tire brand, not like negotiating with us first or talking. He just signs. I hear he signs before he tells me. Okay. He demands that his salary remains unchanged, no changes. He just signs. So basically going against what we had agreed. That was the beginning of everything negative that followed. Okay. He didn't switch because the tires were better than being free for tires. He switched purely because he could get paid. Right? It was purely a financial deal. The year starts and he struggles because the tires are not performing. Now, what makes it look bad is that Ongaro is still kind of doing well. But the thing is that Ongaro drives a car so differently to other people, you know, the way he sets it up, the way he drives, it's not comparable. So the setups he drives, the tires he drives, everything he drives, it's irrelevant to other drivers, right? So then we are in this situation. Well, Ongaro is doing well, so the tires can't be that bad. So David must be struggling because of something else. So now magically, the same car that he just won the Euros with, and he finished second at the Worlds, is now horrible. You can't run it. It's just worthless. It's too wide. It's too heavy. It's too this. It's too that. Have to make all these changes. And at some point there, I give up. Right? So I just allow him and Adrian to do whatever the hell they want, and I don't give a shit. Okay? And it was a horrible year. And I knew all along the reason for it. And it was this tire change, this move. And then everything that followed with the sort of relationship souring because of that. So then when the year was over and we mutually decided that it's better that he switches. We did so after the Euros, so there was plenty of time for him to find another deal and sign another deal. I know this for a fact, and then the details I don't know for sure, but I will share them. I know for a fact that the tires were an issue for X-Ray. This is a fact, okay? And I know for a fact that that's why he left Matrix, okay? So it's just sort of ironic in a sense that he goes from maybe the best paid driver in a very sort of free and good situation in a sense that he has a lot of power and say. He wants a wing, we make a wing. He wants a body, we make a body. He's clearly the number one driver, right? There's a lot of influence on what's going on. Due to, I would say, unnecessary greed, it causes the relationship to sour. Now he goes shopping for a ride, and the best option, possibly only good option that he has, says that the tires are a problem. Now, this is what I don't know for sure. I don't know if they said, we won't sign you unless you switch tires, or if they said, we'll sign you, but you'll only get this better deal if you don't run those tires, right? So anyway, also I don't know for sure if he just accepted then or if he went shopping around and then couldn't get anything and went back to X-Ray. But in any case, I don't think there's any way that he's making the same money now as he was making before. There's just no way, right? But now he has an X-Ray. He ended up having to leave the tire brand. He's now free on tires. And he's in a team where he's not the number one driver. He doesn't have as much influence anymore. And he will have to, inevitably, I think, work harder on his racing and racing more classes. And also compete and in a sense have more pressure because he's competing against his own teammates. So when you are like a top paid driver and some young kid who isn't paid beats you in a race, like Zalewski at EOS, or even now at Montpellier, what's his name? Remy finishing ahead of him, and Skidmore would have finished ahead of him if he didn't flame out. Like, if this keeps happening, it's going to be mentally even harder. So this is like a good example, in my opinion, of how when things are going good, you need to remain humble and keep your feet on the ground and stick to what's working for you and not sort of assume that you're the best, you can do anything, and just sort of let greed take over. Okay? This is like my overview of the whole situation. And like I said, that video I made, that's honest. That's how I feel. I don't have any hard feelings against him, as in like, I fucking hope he has a terrible career. Like, I secretly still sort of want him to do well somehow, you know? Like, at Montpellier, it was weird. Like, there's this part of me like, yeah, see, I was right about the tires, like, whatever. But then he's doing really well and TQing. Then I'm sort of partially also like happy, you know? Because I want him to do well, because we had that relationship. But then at the same time, it's like, well, fuck him, we have to beat him now, this kind of, do you understand what I'm saying? Like, it's mixed feelings, but it's not bad. Like, I'm not saying these things because I dislike him or I wish bad things upon him, I'm just being as honest as I can be, looking at the situation, and this is what I see. And I would say that there's two options now. One is that he continues this same way of assuming that he's just going to be able to figure it out and win races, or he's going to take his situations more seriously, in the sense where he's determined to win and he puts in the work, the time, the effort, figures it out, and starts winning. Because when you look back, he's a driver who should have done what ONROAD is doing. I strongly believe so, but he didn't. And the only reason he didn't is because he didn't put in that consistent work.
You think he just got a little bit comfortable?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and actually, I agree with you. He's going to be constantly under pressure, right? Because that team's full of people that are coming after you, and people that are good at, when you have somebody like Coelho as your teammate, very hard to beat a man like that who's very good in all disciplines and has been for many years now. But I sort of feel the same way as you. I mean, we talked off topic about that. I wouldn't be surprised if Ronnefalk goes to DNC and wins it.
No, I wouldn't, and especially because I think that he's going there early and getting track time and all of that. But he did the same with Mayako, right? So he can do it. That's not the question. The thing is that, like, some of the top drivers in the world who are paid to be professional drivers, they're always there. Okay, they're always there, and they're in fighting for the win. And then others are not always there, and the older they get, the more often they are not there. Right? So that's where we are now with Ronnefalk. Is he going to be someone like Mayfield or who's another good example, who is sort of always there for the win? Or is he going to be someone who sometimes is there? That's basically directly correlated to his level of effort. He has the skill, he has the talent, but he needs to apply himself if he wants to be there consistently.
Yeah, I would agree. As he's getting older as well.
Yeah, and I think that when it comes to sponsors and these things, maybe this kind of changed the outlook a bit, because I don't think things worked out how he expected them to.
Do you think any outside influence to choose these sponsors was a big role in his choice to do these things?
What do you mean?
Well, like, I think Matrix was a lot to do with Adrian, because Adrian's very good friends with the owner.
I mean, I think the Matrix thing, I mean, of course they're going to play it off like, oh, well, he's not racing much.
Money, of course. Look, money too. I mean, nothing wrong with wanting to get paid. There's nothing wrong with wanting to get paid.
It's fucking bullshit. It's just trying to save face or whatever. I know for a fact that the tires were a problem for X-Ray. And of course they would.
That. I'm not disputing
any brand
that. They were a
who
problem
he would
for
sign
him.
with would be like, you were doing donuts in the D main at DNC, okay?
I'm not disputing that. I'm not disputing that.
Tires, right?
My theory, my thing comes to the whole thing is, why couldn't a compromise had come around for these tires, right? For instance, for the Matrix tires, why couldn't it be, all right, we have DNC, there was nothing working. That was obvious, right? There was nothing working. They couldn't get them to work. Why couldn't there be a compromise? All right, this is a brand new tire brand. Like, they're brand new tires. We see many other brands do this. They could have spent a couple of years where he could have been trying out the tires.
I know it was
it's
stupid.
so dumb.
It was stupid.
It was so dumb. Like to sit there and be on the D main when you could have been on the tire. Huh?
Yeah. Everyone lost.
It was very frustrating. That was very frustrating for me. But anyway, I think not doing well at Montpellier will light a fire under him, and he's going like early to practice, and that's all a part of DNC.
Yeah, and it's a Worlds year. I'm sure he'll be going to the Worlds warm-up.
He's going to that too,
and all that.
I heard that.
You know, it's like if you listen to what I said, then it's not like, oh, got you, JQ, when he does well now. Do you see what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think he could do. I think he could win.
He can do well, but if he doesn't change something about his approach, then he isn't going to, or he will just have to be very lucky. You know,
well, he's going to go early to DNC and do the whole, which is what he needs, in my opinion.
Yeah, and then it will be fine.
All right, that's a great segue into DNC. Would have been this past weekend. So by the way, we are recording this on the 29th of February. By the way, which would have there's like 2 people in my Facebook born on the February 29th, leap year. So
when do they celebrate their birthday when it's not a leap year?
I don't know. Maybe they're not really the age they are.
Maybe.
But happy birthday if your birthday is today, February 29th. So DNC would have been this past weekend. It's coming up here shortly. I wanted to show you something real quick. Did you ever go and look at this track that I told you, Tony Schumacher's track from this past weekend?
No.
Of course you didn't. Are you starting to... So, here's a better question. When was the last time, besides COVID, when was the last time you didn't go to a DNC?
I can't remember. There was a couple of years there. One of the years was the one when it snowed in Arizona.
Okay, so you did a few years.
I didn't go there.
Why didn't you go? Just because you just didn't go that year, or what was it?
Maybe it was right when I was making my first car. So maybe around 2008, 9.
But you haven't missed a lot of years, right? You went to your first DNC when?
My first one was 2003.
Okay. Whoa. Wow. That's 21 years ago.
Yeah, but I don't think I went after that. Maybe I didn't go to a few of them.
Okay. Well,
I don't know when the last year at Hemet was.
Okay. It's become our annual pilgrimage to say, you're not going this year. I'm not going this year. I'm still very interested in it. I'm looking forward to it. Ongaro is not going, which I'm not surprised. I think it sounds like he has no wish to go to America and race.
No.
He says he's focused.
Yeah, go on.
He says he's focused on the Worlds and wants to go to the Worlds warm-up, which is happening in April. And he's already signed up for that. What was you going to say?
Yeah, I'm at the point where I don't really want to go to any race unless they have a schedule and it makes sense and a bunch of the best drivers are there. Like,
well, I know the Gun has been trying to get you to come. The Gun is like,
not gonna happen.
I was like, he's not coming, Greg. But I told him I need somebody to drive the van. You can come. I'm like, I'm not coming either. I'm going to be in Florida. In Florida anyway. I am excited for the race, though. For the racing side of things, with all the top.
Who's doing the coverage?
Live RC will do the coverage. I am looking forward to seeing. It's going to be very interesting, man. We had Mason Fuller on last week. He seems very confident about winning this race. He's like, I can win it.
Okay. S-Works now.
Yep, S-Works. Mayfield, Fenn, Rivkin, I would say, would be Fuller. Cannot not throw Rose in there now after that win at SIC. Then, of course, you're going to have Ronnefalk.
Are going?
I think Ronnefalk, JC3, Barufalo, Barton, maybe Boots. I don't know. Yeah, but no, like JC3 and I guess Berton on Ronnefalk are the fastest that will be there.
Yeah, I think they will all do well, actually.
Figueiredo's going to Figueiredo go. He'll do well, I think, on that type of track. I think it's gonna be good. I'm looking forward to it. I'll be watching it while I'm out in the States. And yeah, it's like our second part of our series. So it's 4 points on our pro side of series right here that we got going, our virtual series. So I am looking forward to it. It feels weird not going. If anybody does have a look, when anybody says to me like they want to go to DNC, I say go ahead. It's always, if you are an RC enthusiast, 8-scale racing enthusiast, it's a race you should go to, but it's also a race you should go out to there like the weekend prior. So you should go out there like the Thursday. That's what I miss. The Thursday, they go into the different racetracks, like go to Revelation, like Revelation is going to be packed. Santa Barbara is going to be packed. Those tracks are going to be packed. Dude, right now, those tracks are packed now. Like, these tracks are getting packed and stuff in SoCal. Like, racing's booming. 8-scale racing's booming across America right now. Me and Max are talking about this.
That's actually, like, I don't miss the DNC race at all, but I miss going to those tracks before the race, testing and practicing, and that's fun. Yeah,
I missed that part.
That's always been fun about that trip.
I didn't do that last year, and when you don't go, it's just like I have no one to go hang out with to do that. But I think so. I'm not saying I think I would like to go next year. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. I'm looking forward to it. Big race. Lots of. Who do you think? Well, you want to make a pick real quick while we're here? While we're on topic of that. Who's your top 3?
No, not really. Not really. Who won it last year?
Maybe he'll win it. Dude, it's so bad. I forget these races
Mayfield
so fast.
Yeah, it was in the. It was the small track. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mayfield and Fenn.
Yeah.
I hope the battle's good. I hope it is very good. But that's coming up. All right. Up next, thoughts on Ty Tessman retiring. Now, when we talked about this last time, you kept saying he was going to retire, but it's official. He's retired. He is a regular Joe now in the wrecking world as a welding apprentice, looking to get his welding tickets and learn how to weld and do that type of stuff. Did you think it was going to be Ty Tessman that was going to be one of these first guys to go?
No.
Let's be honest. Let's going to be honest. And we're going to talk about him and shortly and how he's rejuvenated his career. I thought Lutz was going to be the first one out.
I thought Cavalieri would be before that.
We got to talk about him too in a minute.
I mean, he's almost retired based on his last years, but he's
I have a theory on that. I'll tell you. I have a theory.
Results-wise, he's retired. Okay.
Nah, not intense yet. Not intense yet. Tell me, what do you think about Tessman retiring early?
I don't know. If maybe he got tired of these shitty races too. I understand. He went to all the American races for years.
Oh my God. That's why we can't have you on her too much. You start complaining too much. This is when you start actually getting excited when you complain. No, but seriously, tell me. I mean, you kept saying it was going to happen, but was you finally surprised when you found out he wasn't going to get a deal? Well, I mean, he probably not a deal that would have supported him.
Not really. Anymore. Yeah, because he's like him and God, they go together, Mm-hmm. Can't just have Ty. Have to have God.
Could he do it by himself, you think?
I don't know. Maybe that's why he retired, because he couldn't do it without God. I don't know.
Maybe.
It's like, I'm pretty sure that if he wanted to, then he could have got some deal. Mm-hmm. I'm sure. It's Ty Tessman, He can still do well. He still had some good results relatively recently, correct? There could have been a company out there. They could have paid him some money. He could have gone to races, continued. So I think he just doesn't want to anymore.
Maybe
if in his mind he thinks that he couldn't get a deal and has to retire, then I think he's wrong. Yeah,
Okay, maybe he just, like you said, maybe he just didn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe it
I
wasn't
think
worth
he
the
didn't.
money to be away from him. You know, got a child on the way here shortly. Maybe he just wants to. I mean, he's been doing this. Also, he's pretty much accomplished everything in RC. Multiple national championships, world champion. He's won a world championship. He's won
Yeah.
DNC, Silver State. He's won a Neo Buggy, if I remember correctly, as well. You know, he's won so many races, and he's done that. When I talked to him in the interview, which I don't know if it's going to be have aired by the time it's not going to have aired by the time this comes out. He was just saying how he felt like at one point his equipment was just so superior than other people's equipment, and that's what really helped him out a lot. And then everybody's equipment kind of got on par at some point. I also think that a lot of that was like also them guys dotting all their I's and crossing all their T's and all that type of stuff.
It's kind of similar to ONROAD now, I think. But it's just that I think with them, it could be true, like you said, that the equipment, you know, had a really good OS engine and clutch setup on the HB, and the HB was really good at that time. And they had a very good setup for him, how he liked to drive, and he was with Proline, I think.
Yeah, they had a lot of feedback with the
so they made
engineer as well.
Special compounds and shit, I'm sure, testing all kinds of stuff, and they had super thin bodies. Like I think they had, didn't they say that they had some like 0.5 mil body or something, like a
Probably
touring car thickness body for the Worlds in Italy, and they had the Lexan wing early on, or as the first ones, I can't remember. So there was a whole bunch of stuff, you know, that they were pioneering in a sense, you know, paying attention to details that other people weren't at the time. And then now with ONROAD, it's more that they are just so different in their approach and how he drives in that. So it's not really that the equipment is somehow superior or ahead of others. It's just the approach is different. Yeah.
I think for me, I think it was more sad to see that a man of 30 years old with still a lot of gas in his tank, and I had at the end had no choice. Like it doesn't bode well for.
Like I said.
Okay, all right. Did not have the choice that he wanted. Didn't have the choice that he probably would have made him want it. Let's put it that way. That's that better way to put it for you. And it just, I think that is gonna get worse before it gets better in RC.
Yeah, I'm kind of over it. We have already spoken about the reasons why and how RC could be better, but it's not going to be when
right, well, let's talk about somebody. Let's talk about somebody.
Governing bodies, brands, and media companies who all manage to work together. And yeah, the drivers, we have drivers who call the shots instead of brands and governing bodies calling the shots, which would make sense.
Okay, I will agree there. I'm not going to disagree if you actually do 100% agree with you. Lutz rejuvenating his career. You've gotten to work with Lutz a little bit recently in the Invisible Speed. He's promoting that for you. He's been a busy man over to New Zealand, back home to Motorama. Raced from Motorama. Where did he go? He went TNR race. He's been busy, having some solid results. Lutz is a guy who went from probably 1 foot in a FedEx or UPS truck, doing to do that for a living, and then, you know, going with WRC, going with Agama, going with WRC, after leaving Techno, and then falling and getting her with Kyosho. And I say the last 2 years have been very good for him. With him, rejuvenating his career, and I would say rejuvenating Kyosho in the USA. I mean, you even said you saw quite a lot of Kyosho at the Montpellier racer recently.
Yeah. By the way, has Phelon done any races with Kyosho?
He has.
He has now. How did that go?
He did SIC. I think he made. I'll go ahead. I'll get your results for SIC.
You keep talking. I'll check out.
All right. Yeah. He's actually going to Vietnam now. So, what do you think about that? With Lutz rejuvenating his career, you've obviously had a chance to work with him a little bit on Invisible Speed. What have you learned about Ryan Lutz?
My internet just died. Tried to open my machine.
Oh, did you not hear my question that I just asked you?
Yeah, you lost. I mean, I didn't hear anything that you said, but something about Lutz. So I think that Lutz, he's really into it. You know?
Okay.
Really into this whole RC thing, it seems. And I think he's a lot smarter when it comes to driving and setup and all that stuff than I expected. And that's actually why I asked him if he wants to join Invisible Speed. He also makes his own videos and stuff. So I thought he would be a really good asset to have in Invisible Speed. And his results, I would say that I'm a bit surprised when he went to Kyoshan, when he started having really good results. I mean, he was battling for the win with in e-buggy with Ronnefalk.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's won a bunch of e-buggy races against the top guys in America and done well in Nitro too. And didn't he just recently win some e-buggy race?
He won Motorama. He won e-buggy at Motorama.
With everyone
and,
there. So
Asian Buggy Championships over New Zealand.
Yeah, so, and he's going to Philippine Masters too. And so he's all over the place and on the podium at all the races and making content on his YouTube channel and now Invisible Speed. So yeah, he's all into it. It's like a second wind he caught here. It was like the WRC after Agama, it was kind of a downward trend and now he's back.
I would have to agree. Him and Elliot Boots, I have as the two most improved drivers of 2023.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. They are both kind of drivers who, you know, that they are super good and they've won races in the past, but then you've seen them kind of fade and you kind of give up on them. Like, well, they're kind of done. And then now they're back.
I concur. And this just in, as I was, before we came to talk about this, I sent this to you in WhatsApp, and your reply was this fucking guy. And basically, the announcement of Cavalieri now going to drive for X-Ray for Truggy, E-Truggy and 8-scale Nitro Truggy. He's going to be running Sparko, E-Buggy, and Nitro Buggy, and Schumacher 10-scale cars. How the fuck this happened, I have no idea. But I'm going to tell you how it's going to end.
This is a perfect example of what I just said, where the drivers are calling the shots, which makes no sense. There's a saying for this. What is the saying? Like when the whatever run the whatever. There's a fucking saying.
You can lead a horse to the water.
No. There's a saying about like when the wrong people are running the show. Okay.
Okay.
I can't remember the saying now.
Too many chiefs, not enough Indians.
No, not that either.
Okay.
The point is, like, that deal makes no sense at all. 0 sense, because if you are now promoting an X-ray, there's a picture of Cavalieri with an X-ray shirt on, X-ray Truggy, right? That goes against Schumacher for 10 scale because X-ray and Schumacher are competitors, right?
Bitter enemies over in Europe.
And it goes against Sparko also because Sparko runs them for 8 scale Nitro. So it's so conflicting. It's a conflict of interest. It's a win for X-Ray in a sense because he has his deals and then, you can run a Truggy, but we're going to promote it like this. So it looks like he's an X-Ray driver now. And probably a really cheap one, because it's Truggy, right? So, yeah, it makes sense for Cavalieri and it makes sense for X-Ray, but for Sparko and for Schumacher, it's ridiculous.
No, not it's Well, also remember that Schumacher and X-Ray are extremely bitter enemies over in Europe. They do not like each other. They race against each other. It is Schumacher camper, X-Ray camper, and on road you throw in the Automatics camp as well. So here's my thoughts. I said also, I don't know if you know this, but I have officially retired from silly season.
Really?
Yes. You know, I got everything right this past year. So I thought I would go out on a bang, batting 1,000. So one of my theories was that Cavalieri is going to go to X-Ray. In my opinion, he is the best person to go to X-Ray because he's still getting top 5 results in 10 scale and or making mains and in carpet and on dirt. He hasn't raced much 8 scale, but the last time he did was Wicked Weekend, finished 5th. He's got that Sparko, he's got Nova engines, which I'm not too sold on. I think that he was gonna go X-Ray, right? But I think with the 1 more year on his Schumacher contract, this way he still does that 1 more year, gets a ride with Sparko for the year, gets some money from X-Ray, and then in 2025 he just goes straight X-Ray. He's going to be there because X-Ray doesn't have no top North American. They have driver. They have like Chase Lemieux and Rinnekonek for 10 scale right now, and I believe that Cavalieri just slides right in there. Cavalieri slide right in there and becomes X-Ray top driver. And I bet you stays with X-Ray till he's about 40 or more.
That would be amazing. I still
see it happening.
Yeah. I still think that Mayfield is going to be the guy who proves how old you can be and still be competitive in off-road RC.
Cavalieri will find a way. I didn't say he's going to go up there and win races, but it'll still be significant. Well, he's 37 now, so he's got about 3 more years. 38, 37.
I don't know how old those guys are, but they're getting up there, surely, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. Mayfield won this past weekend. Here, check it out. I'm going to show you this track. Remember I told you about this track? You've been here. Tony Schumacher's track. So he had a FTC race. He had mod there for the coverage. And man, just have a look at this track because I thought it was so awesome. This is the Pro Nitro main. And they start off. Mason Fuller actually TQ'd. So there he is. But just look at this track, Joseph. I really like this track. Your buddy Westergaard built it. Lots of upsies and downsies, but very slow upsies and downsies. Yeah. And like everybody that I talked to that went to this race, like this section right here to pop up her was just like, boop. It wasn't no big, like you needed to have all this power. You just boop, popped up there.
Yeah, it looks really nice.
Yes,
I like these kind of whoop sections and stuff.
Yes.
Technical.
I probably one of the best tracks I've seen in a very long time. I'm just going to play it till he hits the dog. Mason Fuller hit a dog and also got glue in his eye this past weekend. And couldn't race his A1.
Good weekend.
Yes. I mean, just think about it. He got an RC related injury. Like literally, he got glue in his eye, which he was not able to perform his RC duties after that.
So
I really like this guy. Yeah, he'll hit the dog her pretty soon. Zeus, the track dog, who just happens to be on the track.
Oh, Spencer Heckert is techno too. I forgot about that.
Yep, Spencer Heckert is techno. He was in the mix for quite some time till he broke. So him and Heckert and Fuller were in the mix. Mayfield kind of pulled away because after he hit the dog, his pipe came off Fuller, so he had to get that back on. And he went out here without his dad. So he went out there to hang out like with Camden Lime and ran some laps at Adobe. And when we had him on the podcast, or we asked him about doing things on your own, because not every time your dad's gonna be able to go. And he was like, yeah, I'm wrenching on my stuff. I told him he needs to get an invisible speed. I think he hits a dog here. Let's see. Yep, there you go. Did you see it?
What?
Did you see it?
Kind of, yeah.
I'll slow it down for you. Hold on. So they're coming onto that straightaway. Let's slow it down for JQ. Hey, it goes up to go over this triple. Oh no, there's a dog. Hits him in the arse. Mayfield jumps over the dog.
Dog got lucky there.
No harm to the dog, I want to add.
Oh, that's lucky.
And so he wasn't too far back after this, but then his pipe came off. So he had one of them all one-piece pipes, and that came off.
Yeah.
But, man, I'm very confident in Mason Fuller. I remember you messaged me a couple of weeks ago, and you said, who could I sign, and who could Mayako sign in 2025 in America that could win? And the only answer I had for you was Mason Fuller.
Yeah, but he just signed with extra S-Works. So sure that's more than 1 year.
So you like that track? It's pretty cool, isn't it?
Very nice, yeah.
Very nice. I like it too. All right. I'm not gonna keep you up too much longer. 8-scale Worlds coming up here soon, JQ. September is not too far away. I was looking at some pictures that Fernando sent me, like that lake that was next to the clubhouse. That's all filled in, and they're making pits there, and they're making the track bigger and all that type of stuff. Warm up coming up in April. Ungaro is going. Ronnefalk is going. Still a lot of sounding as if some of the top Americans might not go, like Mayfield still isn't committed. I asked Mason if he's going. Yeah.
For the warm-up.
Worlds.
Yeah. I mean, let me guess. Oh, it's too dangerous. Or
yes, we've been over this before. We've been over this all before. Well, also, the former president of Brazil has made some special visa requirements for Americans, Canadians, and Australians.
Which is what?
They need to have a visa. You can buy a visa, costs like $80, but it lasts for 5 years.
Like they have to apply for a visa?
Yeah.
That's funny.
But it's all digital, right? And this is it said in the press, this is in response for the strict immigration rules that these countries have on Brazilians, right?
Yeah, that's fine. That's how it should be.
But everything is on their website. I mean, I just gotta ask you, man. I think. Do you think Ungaro can repeat this? I think he can.
He can.
You've been to that track. You've been to that track. You see that type of track. You think Matrix has got something for that dirt?
This I don't know. I don't know what the conditions will be like. So that's hard to say. But I am convinced that he can.
How about Ronnefalk? You think he can go over there and win?
Yeah, I think so.
JC3?
And he's free on, yes.
Americans, Fend, Mayfield.
The people can win. Let's list the people who we think can win that race with nothing going wrong for some other person. And they and we wouldn't be that surprised. Okay?
Ungaro, Ronnefalk, Canas, Mayfield, Fend. I throw Fuller in there.
I would say
Boots.
Yeah, well,
Boots. Fuller and Boots would be a stretch.
I don't know. Boots would need some things to go his way, I would say.
Well, I think the S-Works package is great.
Well, yeah, you know what? Maybe you could. Okay. I think let's put it like this. Those names that you listed just now. Who was it now? Ongaro, Canas, Ronnefalk, Mayfield,
Fend, Boots, Fuller.
Okay, so I would say those first five are the ones that definitely, no surprise at all, they can do it. Okay, I would say someone like Boots and Fuller and Berton can do it. They can do it.
Okay,
but I would be a bit more surprised.
How about the Killix, Borak?
I think other people would have to have things go wrong. It's possible, but it would need, special circumstances.
Okay. Well, let's slim it down even more. Out of those top five, who will you put your money on right off the bat?
We have to add one name. We forgot.
Who?
Coelho. Who? He doesn't run that much.
I don't have him in this. I don't have him there.
I do. Like, when it's the Worlds, if he runs more 8 scale, he's right there. So Australia Worlds, for example, he was very fast in that semi-final, but flamed out. So, yeah, who knows what would happen in the main. And then I actually don't remember how his Redovan Worlds was. But
I think he made the final.
I can't remember.
I can't remember races. Let's bring it up.
But yeah, he will be fast also.
I don't have him in there. Sorry. I don't have him.
And our newly crowned father, Bobby, if he's happy with his car, everything works, the right circumstances, he can do well. But he wants to win. He wants to win and then retire. That's his dream. But he's not someone like Ongaro who you can say, like, no matter what, he's going to be there. You know?
Yeah, I would agree
Those
there.
days are
I would agree there. I'm actually trying to look up results from last year's Worlds, and
yeah,
it's not the easiest thing. I should know this. But,
I think that when it comes down to it,
mhm.
Ongaro and Kanas are going to be there. Those two guys, guaranteed.
Okay.
Guaranteed they are going to be in the top. They're going to be fast. Okay?
And okay.
From the Americans, I would say that Mayfield will figure it out. He will be fast.
If he goes.
Yeah, if he goes. And
you have Mayfield winning this, though?
Be fast, but it's hard Mayfield to say like exactly where.
I think Mayfield could win this.
Yeah, he could win it.
He could win it.
I think so.
He could win it.
But I think a European will.
I mean, you are European, so you're obviously going to be biased towards Europeans.
No, I think because it's going to be, it's the Worlds, it's neutral ground in a sense, maybe a bit more US style track, I would say, and probably surface. But
this would be
I still think European. They focus
ideal track.
Yeah, it's
ideal track for a start for a spec tire. I think the manufacturers would like it too, because I think they're dreading having to send all those tires down there to find out what works. Yeah. I hope more people go to the warm up. I know they wanted me to come down, but I can't. I'll be at a race. So I wish them all the best. It's at Casa Raceway in Sao Paulo. All the details, I'll have them in the written description in the website that they have there. But I think we're going to see a 3-way battle between Ronnefalk, Canas, and Ongaro. I think a few Americans aren't going to go. I think a few aren't going to go. I hope Mayfield changes his turn. I hope he does go, because it'll be kind of. I would really like Mayfield, Fend, Fuller, those type of guys to go there. So hopefully they change Mayfield changes his mind, and some of them are like, I can't wait to go. So it's gonna be interesting. I can't wait. Coming up very soon, man. September will be here soon. It's already March. Well, it's not March when we're recording this. We got one more day.
Man, I need to get excited for RC. I'm doing some design work now, so that's a good start.
I was about to say, what's your immediate future looking like?
Yeah, I'm gonna build a couple of cars for Robert, because Robert sucks as a mechanic. He is fucking terrible. So I'm gonna build a couple of cars for him, and then I will build a car for Pekko and for myself also. And I think once I get to drive a bit, and once I have, prototypes of new stuff I've designed, hopefully at that point, I'll sort of fall in love with RC again. And I'll be excited and prepare for the Euros and for the Worlds. And hopefully Robert and Pekko can have good results there. And
Aren't you doing the 40 plus Euros this year?
Yeah, but that's not something really to prepare for. That's like spur of the moment thing. But
I thought you was preparing your whole life for it.
If there was a IFMA 40 plus Worlds, that would be cool. I would prepare. But you know what? I am doing the Kyosho Masters.
Ooh.
That
what? Why? Why?
Because I've always wanted to do the Kyosho Masters. I started with the Kyosho, but I couldn't afford any racing abroad when I ran the Kyosho. And then when I switched to Hobao, then I started racing internationally, but you can't go to the Kyosho Masters with Hobao. So now I can. Bucket list, Kyosho Masters. I have a Kyosho MP9. I'm going to rebuild that and go do that race. It's in June.
You've been doing some touring car stuff too, right?
Yeah, now over the winter, I've been running touring car. I have an Automatics and an X-Ray. I've been driving those.
ONROAD is what's really kicking her in the DR. The association that's involved in that, they're doing a really good job of promoting. They had their first race this past. When I'm recording this past weekend, I wanted to go, but I didn't. And I want to get me some GT cars. Think X-Ray will hook me up?
I don't know.
Maybe
Probably
electric not. GT and a Nitro GT or S-Works.
Yeah.
Maybe some oil. I'm going to have to. A creaking wheel is what gets the oil. Or as if you do not ask, you shall not receive. But yeah, I mean, like 5th scale, 1/8 scale, Nitro GT Nitro, electric GT, and 10 scale is what's booming her. No off-road though, unfortunately. All good. Anything else you wanted to talk about before because we probably ain't going to talk for quite some time. You're not coming to IBC, unfortunately.
Probably not IBC. I think now it's just time to sort of regroup, get a bunch of work done, and then main goals really being the Euros and the Worlds, and fuck everything else.
Aren't you going to Silver State?
Degani really wants me to go, and I did seriously consider it, but I don't think so.
You should go and race 40 plus only.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't feel like
you would enjoy it.
I don't really feel like going anywhere. Euros and Worlds, and if that's the only races I needed to go to, I'd be fine. Well, Kyosho Masters 40 plus, yeah, I'll do those. So that would be cool. Probably we'll have to go to more than that, but yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
Content-wise, or online course, stuff like that, anything you want to tell people about before we get out of her? Got anything special lined up?
Well, we have Lutz now, so he'll be in the live meetings. I think we will start them. I don't know yet. So March, April, let's put it that way. Mm-hmm. So that's sort of time frame. We will post some promotions for joining the course, so we get all the people who want to join the live meetings to get in there, and then we'll have a bunch of live meetings going over the homework stuff and all that, and Q&A and live problem solving. And there's still a bunch of videos that I have filmed that I have not edited. So that's also a good reason to not go to these races and stay home. So
good stuff. Yeah. Good stuff. Well, you look very calm and collective. That's good to see. You know, as Danny would say, you don't look so lonely right now.
I don't look so lonely.
Danny said when he first met you, he got a sense of loneliness from you. Oh. He goes, I look at JK and I just sense loneliness.
Okay.
That's seriously what he said to me.
Sense that.
He says, I look at him and I just look at him and I see loneliness. No emotion, no soul whatsoever in your eyes. That's what he told me.
No soul.
And Danny doesn't really, he just said, I look at JQ and he's no soul. No soul.
Well, there's a soul in there.
I agree. You're a good guy. Hey, JQ, it was good catching up with you. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. It was just us talking random RC shit, but I think people enjoy it. I enjoyed it. And
okay.
we got to have you on. It's been a while since you've done a live. So
yeah, what's S Racing or SJ Racing?
SJ Racing, that's my buddy Gene Strout Jr. He does builds. He works with us at Elite RC Productions.
Okay.
Does a lot of stuff. So anything you want to say to people before you disappear into your treadle shell for a couple of weeks?
Team Glitch RC, is he running mod already?
No, he has gone to work for Hobby Wing and work on their stock program.
Oh my God. He's making a career out of stock.
He's not racing that much. He's more going to these races or doing support with Charlie
but still for stock. Amazing.
Stock is the biggest fucking class in America in 10 scale. Simple as that.
Unbelievable.
Well, that's just how it is. That's where the money is.
Yeah.
You went to go see OCRC. What was the most popular class there?
Yeah, probably stock. Some dumb invented class.
But wait, you know what? Right now, 8 scale's booming right now, JQ. Booming.
Yeah, that's good.
Booming. All right. Well, I hope the next time you come on here, you're a little bit more enthusiastic about RC. But thank you for your insights on the Montpellier GP and what's been going on in your life. It was a great catch up with you, Rupert Pumpernickel.
I'll watch DNC and then we can talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be on the road, but I definitely want to do a recap of that. So I'm going to make some time, make some space, and we'll do that. Mac, hey, I must call you Max. Oh, so hold on. We have to have an intervention for fucking Max. Couple of things.
Hey, what's happening? Has he come out of the closet? Or?
No, he's definitely straight. This fucking Max had titanium nuts as a topic to talk about the other day. He talked about it for 10, 15 minutes.
Titanium nuts?
Yes. Trying to gentrify the podcast. Then he had the audacity to spread such heresy as saying that e-buggy is going to be the glory at one point. And I almost kicked him off the podcast when he said that.
Well, you know that his girlfriend is a vegan feminist.
Well, he's vegan now, too. So
yes, but it's all because of the influence that his girlfriend has had on him. So now the obvious conclusion will be that nitro racing is harmful to the environment and we are going all electric.
It's blasphemy. It's blasphemous. It's heresy. But I've intervened. And titanium
it's
nuts.
Never going to be like that. I definitely hope during my lifetime that electric doesn't become the only way we can go racing, because it's stupid because of batteries and the materials we need for batteries and how they are mined for and all of that, and all the environmental damage that is caused by creating batteries and electricity production. Like, that's an issue too, right? So if we race dirt bikes with engines or nitro RC, that doesn't make a fucking difference to the environment, right? The pollution side of it. So if that really becomes a thing, like we have to race electric because of the environment, I don't agree with that. That is not a solution to our problems. And then the second reason is because electric is so lame. You do need the noise and all of that. Like, that's a part of the adrenaline of racing, you know?
Well, I don't know. We're going to have an intervention.
A hairdryer is lame.
He said those things and he said something else. And I'm about to we're going to have an exorcism or something.
What did he say?
Because he literally had titanium nuts. I think they're so cool. Me and Cade were looking at him like, what are you talking? Like this, we're not doing pink washers and all that stuff, huh?
Titanium nuts on what?
10 scale titanium nuts. He actually had it as a topic.
Okay. Who has titanium nuts now?
R1.
Okay. And no one's
you have a talk with your Padawan. He is We need to have intervention for him. We need to have intervention. But he's been good. He's been doing all the notes in the podcast. Up on a lot. And he just goes crazy.
He's a bit autistic too, you know.
His notes are well organized, and I like him. You know what I'm looking for to help out her in the podcast later on this year? I want a social media person. That'd be good. Join the team.
Really?
I'll do some reels. Stuff like that.
Amazing.
Would be nice. Hard to find because there's no money to pay for them.
Exactly.
All right, JQ. Well, I'm gonna let you go. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you for the book. I'll be waiting for my Mayako cars in the mail too.
Oh, really? Did you order any?
No, not yet. You haven't told me to go order them.
Okay.
What happened to Quartz? I thought Quartz wanted a Mayako.
Yeah, Quartz is, Quartz not the brightest bulb. I ordered shirts through him. We ordered a bunch of Mayako shirts, for example, for Mayako USA. And then he was asking for cars. So I said, okay, I'll send you cars. You discount the shirts. You can still, break even or make a bit of a profit. Discount the shirts, and then I'll send you stuff. And he wouldn't. So I said, okay, then I won't send you cars.
He's got an HP now. An HP or One Army.
Yeah, I don't care.
You fucked up. You could have had your buddy Quartz. You, Quartz, and Greg at Silver State. Dream team.
I'm not in the. I am
you
no
can't
longer.
Beat Quartz in 40 plus anyway.
I don't know. He might be a bit rusty now. I do not see any need in supporting people who only take. There is a give and take that has to occur. And if people are not willing to do that, then they can fuck off.
Okay.
Yeah, really.
That's a good way to end it, JQ.
Yeah, but I'm not going to fucking do anything for you.
It's dark.
That's it.
JQ.
That's dark. That's harsh,
dark.
But it's true.
Dark JQ. Dark JQ. All right. Well, all good, man. It was good chatting with you. Thank you for your time. Enjoy your evening and your weekend here in Sweden. And yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was good. We got to do this again in a couple of months. No, we'll do it again after DNC. So in a few weeks, if you feel like it. And yeah, keep up the good work, man. Keep your head down. And I hope you find your rejuvenated passion for RC.
Yeah. I would say if we can figure out a way to have a bit consistently better coverage and a few more races with all the best drivers there, then I would be more excited about this.
Okay.
Yeah. If we can somehow figure that out.
Well, there's still hope, JQ. There's still hope. Hey, man, get back to work. Do all that good stuff. I'm good. It was good chatting with you. Thank you for your time. If you guys want to support JQ, go over and get yourself Invisible Speed online course or buy a book. There are affiliate links in the written description of this podcast. Invisiblespeed.net right there down below. Check them out. Written description. Thank you to all of the NNRC squad around the world. We can't do this without you. Thank you to all of the NNRC patrons and YouTube members around the world for your extra support. If you wish to support this podcast a little bit extra, you can. There are links for that in the written description of this podcast. And don't forget, showing these companies some love shows the podcast some love. We have affiliate links, coupon codes, and emails and websites for all these companies in the written description of this podcast. They are Invisible Speed, High Tech RC, Corsatec USA, Sidewinder Fuel, Mayako, Beach RC, Techno RC, Clinic RC, Stacked RC, RaceCraft USA, RC Box Club, Call RC, Elite RC Productions, Florida RC Championships, RC Body Armor, SJ Racing Builds, House of RC, RCGP. Shout out to our drivers, David Ronnefalk, Robert Batty, Alexander HagBerg, Matty G, Pekko Ivanen, Juno Hatinen, and newly knighted, the Knight of Ice, Mason for. Look, JQ, we got drivers. Who would ever thought podcasts had drivers?
Yeah.
Could have told me that 275 episodes ago and 5 years ago. They got paid absolutely nothing though.
Yeah,
because we have nothing to pay them.
If I get inspired for if there is some way to figure out a sort of, maybe like you have that virtual series, there's some way to figure out something that it's remotely exciting in RC for 8-scale nitro off-road, then I will have invisible speed drivers too.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, it starts with at least the European drivers figuring out which races they're going to go to. Oh, hold on. Two things I forgot to rant about real quick.
Yeah, well, we're not going to do that now.
Yeah, well, yes, we are.
Rant about that some other time.
The horrible coverage of fucking Montpellier.
Yeah, but this we have to rant about properly at some point again.
Okay.
And
the inability for Europeans to find 3 or 4 races that they can all agree to go to and create some sort of series. The Americans can do it. The Europeans can do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Pretty ridiculous, I would say.
Ridiculous. Incredible. All right, man. I'm gonna let you go. Thank you, everybody. Okay. That's JQ and Lefty, old school times. Nitro's the glory. E-Buggy pays the bills. JQ, I want you to go over there and sign up for that online course. And I say use the affiliate link we have in this written description to do that. JQ and Lefty, we're out. Say goodbye, JQ. Say goodbye to everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.